Hello and welcome to the green portion of our set review for Strixhaven. We have done every other of the monocolors. Green is the last one we'll do. We'll give a short little synopsis of what we're doing. I just go through each individual cards and sort of just give my initial impressions on them. Try and talk about if they're somewhat good or if they might see play, where they might see play. But really it's more of just kind of an initial response to the cards in question. With all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and finish the green and with it the monocolored cards in the set. First is Accomplished Alchemist, 3 and a green for a 2/5 elf druid, where you can tap to add 1 mana of any color, or you can tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. A 4 mana dork is like okay. Maybe if you can like get it out a little earlier with other mana dorks, it could be a little bit better. Though I'm certain there's some silly like I gain 1,000,000 life and add 1,000,000 mana and I blow you up kind of thing. Like there's some weird like Timmy combo in here with this card, but other than that, I'd be surprised if it sees a whole lot of play. Next is Basic Conjuration, 1 and 2 green for a sorcery lesson. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gain 3 life. I would say it's sort of like a card draw spell, even though you're spending a card to look at a card, and even then you don't play it. So it's like a trimmed down version of a Collected Company, sort of. Which, thematically makes sense for what the lessons are supposed to be. They're supposed to be like a mage's like first spell kind of thing. So like thematically the card works, but I don't think it'll see really any play at all. But I could be wrong, but I wouldn't hold my breath out on it. Next card is Bayou Graph, 1 and a green for a 5/4 plant dog. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature or pay 3. At worst, it's a 5 mana 5/4. A 2 mana 5/4 is not miserable, and it's not like inconceivable to have a 1 mana card that you can sacrifice to pay for it. It's a dog, so your pack leader style dog tribal decks do have another card to play. Hi Caramel. Hi baby girl. What you doing, brown sugar? Oh, careful. But yes, Bayou Graph. What, Caramel? Might see some play if you're looking to be really aggressive, since a 2 mana 5/4 is like nothing to scoff at. But I'd be surprised if it sees a whole lot of play. What, Caramel? I'm being a booty dad. Please pet. Oh, please pet the daddy. Come, please pet daddy. Daddy, pet me, please. Hey, come here. Alright, if you're not gonna be quiet, it's fine. Anywho, sorry about that. One of my sweet baby girls is being a booty. Big play. 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter on it. It's a cool combat trick, and big play, and giving it a permanent counter and a temporary buff, and the reach spell the reach that would be given if you got physically bigger. It's a good theme card, but I'd be very surprised if this sees a whole lot of play. Green doesn't play a whole lot of aggressive combat spells. See, next is Bookworm, 7 and a green for a 7/7 trampler. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Or you can pay 2 and a green to put Bookworm from your graveyard into your library, 3rd from the top. It's mill protection, which is nice, and it's sort of like a Palaka worm, like a cousin of a Palaka worm. This might actually see some play. Like, it's just, if nothing else, a ramp thing you can just ramp into. But also, like, if some sort of mill deck becomes popular, this might actually become a thing. Let's see, next card! Whew! Is Charge Through. 1 green for an instant. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. Draw a card. This could see some play. Giving a thing trample at instant speed is kind of nice, and the card replacing itself is a nice touch. But it will see super fringe play if it sees any at all. Next spell is Containment Breach. 2 and a green for a sorcery lesson. Where destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana value is 2 or less, make a 1/1 pest that dies and gains a life. That's not actually awful. Yeah, I know, honey. I love you. Containment Bridge, I could see actually seeing some sort of play if the format ever gets fast enough. But if the format's slow, I don't think you'd ever really run Containment Breach, as it's very narrow. I could actually see this card weirdly being more useful in, like, older formats, where you have, like, lower to the ground, more impactful, like, artifacts, maybe? But I don't really play other formats, or older formats here. Isn't that right, sweetheart? I know. Next is Devouring Tendrils. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. When the permanent you control dies this turn, you gain 2 life. It's a removal spell in green. The fact that it can hit planeswalkers is actually very relevant. So this card could actually see some play. The ability to sort of get some life if the creature dies is a nice touch, but that's just a little extra gravy. It might see some very fringe play. You never know. Maybe in some sort of like, we'll just say it might see some fringe play. Next is Dragon's Guard Elite. 1 and a green for a 2/2 human druid. Magecraft, when you cast a copy, instant or sorcery, 1/1 counter on the Dragon Guard Elite. And for 4 and 2 green, you can double the number of 1/1 counters on Dragon Guard Elite. This card is good in that it can get pretty big pretty fast in green. But you would need something like, say, a Charge Through to give it trample in order for it to really see any modicum of play, since it can just be chumped all day long. But I could be wrong, and at minimum, it's, a bear. It's a 2-mana 2/2. I might see some play, but I'd be surprised if it sees a lot of play, since, again, it can be chumped out very easily. Next is Ecological Appreciation. Oh, this is another one of those cycles things. Okay, we'll see if the green one's okay. 2 and a green for sorcery. Search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that each have mana value X or less, and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library and the rest onto the battlefield. Okay, it's like some reanimation thingy in green. It's like conditional in that your opponent gets to choose the things they don't want to deal with. And those just go into your library, but you get the rest. I don't know if green needed like a res effect, but I understand that it's more indicative of the Witherbloom College, which is the green-black, and black has reanimation effects. So I understand why this card is here. I'm a little concerned that green doesn't need a reanimation spell, but I could be wrong. Next is Emergent Sequence. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the field tapped. Then shuffle. That land becomes a 0/0 blue-green fractal. That's a creature that's a land, or that's still a land. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each land you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Other than Nissa Who Shakes the World, these sort of make your basics a man, or make your basics into a man land cards. Almost never really see play. The only reason why Nissa sees play is because you're able to take advantage of Nissa's passive to ramp a fuckload, as well as giving the creature vigilance means you can sort of attack freely, air quote. I don't think this card will really see a whole lot of play. And it's one of those, like, you have no choice. The creature has to become a land, so like it can be removed and then you're like down a land. I think that's a real rough card that I'd be surprised if it sees a whole lot of play. Next is Exponential Growth. XX green for a sorcery until end of the turn. Double target creature's power X times. Are you generating a buttload of mana for free? Do you have a big scary thing that if you hit your opponent, you'll die? Exponential Growth is kind of the thing for you. Is it a good card? No. Is it like super Timmy and there's some fun like what the deck style combo in this card? All day long. I do not doubt that for a single second. Next is Field Trip. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic force card. Put it on the field tapped, and then learn. Learn in green is probably not going to be that good unless you really want to learn for a particular lesson. Green actually doesn't have a whole lot of trouble drawing cards. So the ability to pillage is, I mean, it's nice, but it's not like gonna make you totally run this card. I mean, maybe if you're running like a commander deck and you need a ramp spell, you might run it. But even then, maybe. Next is Fortifying Drought. 1 green for an instant, you gain 2 life. Target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. I might see some play. I could see Soul Sisters sort of splashing green now for some life gain stuff, to where you might be able to make more use of a card like this. But again, historically, green doesn't run a whole lot of aggressive combat tricks. If it runs any, it usually will just run defensive ones to keep its stuff alive. Might see some fringe play, but even then I wouldn't hold my breath. Next is Gnarled Professor. 2 and 2 green for a 5/4 Tree Folk Druid with Trample. And when it enters the battlefield, you learn. This card is honestly not that cool. It's a fucking amazing looking art, but it's just one of those like, it's a 4 mana 5/4 Trampler. I mean, it doesn't hurt to learn whether you get a lesson or if you just, you know, pillage a card, but like other than that, it's just like, This is one of those where Historic being a eternal format, I think I would pretty much always prefer to have like a questing beast on 4 than a Gnarled Professor. I'd rather have the more aggressive body that just ends the game than have like weird sort of narrow card draw on a creature that also doesn't have haste. So I don't think this card will really see any play, but man, that art is super pretty. Let's see, next card, Honor Troll. 2 and a green, 2/3 Troll Druid with Vigilance. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. And it gets +2/+1 as long as you have 25 or more life. You know, some sort of Selesnya Soul Sisters deck might actually be like a thing that might happen. At which point, I could see this card actually seeing a little bit of play. Like, but again, it would only really see play in that. But I mean, it's not like an unfeasible thing. I'm gonna write this down actually in my little notepad document on my little old phone. Let's see. Let's see. We'll go on to the next card. Next card is Carrock Wrangler. 4 and a green for 3/3 elf druid. With Magecraft, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Again, this thing is super slow, and it's a very bad creature. I really don't think that this card will see much of any play at all, and even if like some sort of +1/+1 counter deck becomes a thing, I would be very surprised if this card would ever see any play. This is like a draft card or learner card, but that's about it. And really, I don't think it'll ever see play outside of that. Next is Leyline Invocation. 5 and a green for a sorcery. Create a 0/0 fractal creature. Put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of lands you control. This card is bad. Do not run it. It doesn't even give it like trample or any sort of evasiveness. It's just one of those, a 6 mana, widely variable thing that turns your lands into a creature with no evasion, no haste, no protection. No, it's a bad card. Don't run it. Oh god, Sneeze is incoming. Maybe. Might be wrong. Nope. Now we're good. Next is Mage Duel. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another instant or sorcery this turn. Target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn. Then it fights a creature you don't control. Green, again, doesn't really run a whole lot of removal spells. Even, I mean, it's nice that green has access to a removal spell. So, I mean, I could see it maybe running play. This is a great card in Limited as a removal source, and a pretty good card in teaching newer players how green is usually ever able to, like, remove things. But I don't think it'll really see play anywhere else other than that. Next is Master Symmetrist. 2 and 2 green for 4/4 Rhino Druid with Reach. Whenever a creature you control with power equal... Wait, what? Whenever a creature you control with power equal to its toughness attacks, it gains trample until the end of the turn. So, if I attack with a thing who has equal stats, then it gets trampled. I mean, that's cool, and there's like probably something in there that I can't think of, but like I can't see much else there. I don't know if this is a whole lot of play, but I could see some sort of like the Timmy Brewer's deck in me, or Brewer's brain in my head, like be interested by this card. The art's pretty cool too. Next is Overgrown Arch. 1 and a green for an 0/4 defender. That's a plant wall. You can tap and sack it to gain 1 life, or you can pay 2 and sack it to learn. Defender Tribal. Might actually like it. Life gain is not awful if you're running defenders and you care about like not dying and buffering your life total, so that's kind of good. And I suppose being able to cash it in later on after it's like far outlived its usefulness. Or if it's like chump blocked and you have nothing else to do, you can cash it in and still block. And get a card out of it. So this card's actually kind of good. It could see some play. In like some Jund fucking sacrifice deck, I could see this actually being kind of useful. So I'm a little, that part of my brain is like, oh no, that could be a lot, you know? But, anywho, on to the next one. That's amazing. It's Professor of Zoomancy. 3 and a green for a 4/3 Bear Druid. When it enters the battlefield, make a 1/1 pest. It's not good, but fucking that art is like 10 out of 10. Fucking amazing. But it's whatever. It's one of those. It's a draft card. And like an okay teaching card. But other than that, you just never really run it. Reckless Amplimancer. 1 and a green, 2/2 Elf Druid, and for 4 and a green, you can double its power and toughness until end of turn. There is, at minimum, it's 2 mana 2/2, which is nothing to write home about, but it's fine. There is some weird shenanigans going on with this card. So there's like that, in that, like, there's some, I have a bunch of mana, and I'm gonna, like, double my Amplimancer's power a buttload and, like, swing out and kill you. But other than that, like, weird niche combo thing going on, I don't think it'll see a whole lot of play. Scurrid Colony, 1 and a green for a 2/2 squirrel with reach, and it gets +2/+2 if you control 8 or more lands. Very, very good limited card because it's 2 mana 2/2 that if you draw it late, like 8 lands in the game late, it actually is somewhat more relevant. And having reach is a nice defensive thing. Will it see play in best of 3 historic? No. Unless you're being cute, and I'm going to run Squirrel Tribal with these in Totski. But it will see no, like, genuine play. Spined Carrock, 2 and a green for a 2/4 Crocodile. Fine. Again, good teaching card, good draft card, it'll do just fine. But again, it's one of those, in Historic, as a general rule, if your card is a vanilla card in that it has no abilities and it's all flavor text, these cards don't really see a whole lot of play outside of, like, your, like, brand new decks that you get for free or you just bought. And these cards are also good, not only as good draft cards, but, like, these have a lot of, like, world building for Strixhaven, or whatever the name of the plane itself is. Next is Springmane Curvin? Well, we won't spaz on it. 2 and a green for a 3/2 elk. Enters the battlefield, gains 2 life. Again, I would rather have, in reference to the Spine to Carrock, this is not a vanilla creature since it has the enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. It isn't always, even something as, like, minute as gaining 2 life when you enter the battlefield would make me choose the Springmane over the Carrock all day long. This card, however, in a vacuum, I mean, it's fine. Again, good draft card, good teaching card, but it wants to play outside of that. Next is Tangle Trap, which is a fucking that's awesome. That is so fucking cool for art. 1 and a green for an instant. Choose 1. Deals 5 damage to target creature flying or destroy target artifact. These cards, like, never ever ever see play. Flying never really gets to be that big of a problem, and green can already deal with artifacts and enchantments at 2 mana with much better cards. That art is fucking hilarious, though. Hey, and the last green card is Verdant Mastery. 5 and a green for a sorcery, where you can pay 3 and a green instead. Search the library for up to 4 basic land cards and reveal them. Put 1 of them onto the battlefield tapped under an opponent's control if you paid the 4. Put 2 of them onto the battlefield tapped into your control and the rest into your hand. No. I mean, other than some sort of, like, this will never see play in Constructed, ever. I don't even think you want this. I mean, you could technically take this unlimited for color fixing. I could see some, like, if you're running like a group hug style sort of commander thing and you're running green, giving an opponent like a land for 4 and you a land is a nice little thematic win for what your deck's trying to do. So there's that. But other than that, other than those examples, I won't see any play at all. You don't want to give your opponents lands in 60 card constructed 4-0 formats. It's just very, very bad. That is the last of the green, and by proxy, the last of the monocolored cards for the Strixhaven reveal. Next, as you can see, we'll go on to multicolored. Although I imagine multicolored is going to be way longer. And I'll mention this now and in the multicolored video. I might clump together multicolored and the dual and the modal double-faced cards. I might clump those two together for my own sanity, really. But anywho, that's all for this video. Remember to like it if you liked the video in question, sub if you like me, and if you have your own ideas of cards that might say X card might be great or Y card might be garbage, that's what the comments are for. Or that's what the comments are for. Just remember to keep it civil and everything will be cool. And remember, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together.